Advent is a season in which we're reminded to try to refocus our inner vision such that we might better recognize Christ even as he comes among us now, so that we would surely recognize him should he return again as promised in our own day. The readings of Advent invite us to revisit the ways in which the first coming of Christ was predicted, and how those who did recognize and receive him had prepared themselves to do so. Today's gospel, then, is important because it has a very simple but very essential lesson to teach us, which simply stated would be, expect the unexpected, especially in regard to the manner in which the divine breaks into and is manifested in the world of human affairs. It might be more what the gospel passage doesn't say than what it says, by which the lesson is conveyed. Indeed, as we listen to this gospel, we're reminded that there were powerful people in the world at the time of Christ's appearance. People like Tiberius Caesar, emperor in Rome, Pontius Pilate, governor in Judea, Herod Antipas and his brother Philip, sons of that famous King Herod, who were ruling other parts of the Holy Land, and priests, Annas and Caiaphas, holding the highest of all religious offices at that time in Jerusalem. But when the Word of God entered the world, we're told it wasn't sent to these prestigious persons in these distinctive places. Rather, instead, the Word of God was sent to an eccentric man living a very strange existence in the wilderness, which is the desert east of the city of Jerusalem. And the divine word he received and was proclaiming was that of the prophet Isaiah, originally uttered some 7 centuries before him, but which now John the Baptist was proclaiming with a tone of very great urgency, as the long-awaited prophecy was about to be fulfilled, but to be fulfilled by a humble man who was already 30 years old, who was about to leave his obscure existence in Nazareth and come on the scene to be baptized by John. And then by the wisdom of his teaching and the nature of his miraculous deeds, he would reveal himself to those whose minds and hearts were open, that he was indeed the long-awaited Messiah, though not what most had expected or hoped. And so many, tragically, did not recognize Jesus or ever come to accept him for who he truly was. If God has worked in surprising ways in the past, it is likely the way that God is working in the present, and how God will also return with great finality in some unknown future. So we are being urged by Advent's message to open our ears to hear the Lord speak in the Scriptures and really listen to what is said, and to open our minds and hearts to recognize the Lord among us, powerfully yet hidden under the appearances of bread and wine. But then we are being invited to ask, where else is the Lord appearing in our day-to-day lives? Has he been heard in the voices of unlikely prophets, or seen in surprising places or unusual circumstances in our lives? Were we ready to recognize him at the moment that he was there? Or did we miss him and only realize his presence in hindsight? The gospel today reminds us that in the past it was those who could suspend their preconceived notions and dare to discern and declare the truth of God's ways, even when many around them remained doubtful. It was they who enjoyed an intense and life-changing encounter with the divine person in Jesus of Nazareth. So if we want to meet the risen Jesus, as he does still come among us even now in mystery, and be prepared to recognize him should he return as promised in our time in glory, then we too would be wise to simply expect the unexpected.